What's up guys, I'm Godly Saber, and you probably have not heard of me before because I don't have that big of a presence on any platform really, but I'm going to be talking about Iron Fist and basically his current state. Now, since you haven't heard of me, I'm probably going to have to give you a bit of background. In Season 0, I finished top 500 on Iron Fist. I am currently Eternity, and I was simultaneously number 8 and number 29 in the Iron Fist leaderboard. So now, since you have the background, let's talk about the reworks and the changes that came February. First change is that the first, second, and fifth strikes go from 32 to 30 damage, while his strongest attack with the knockback has gone from 55 to 50 damage. So starting off, we were immediately met with a damage nerf of 13 for his entire combo, but in turn, we got a extended cooldown reduction for each of his regular punches. I still would have preferred more damage over the cooldown reduction, but hey, that's what we got. Now, the part that really bothers me and a lot of other Iron Fist players is the fact that our burst damage, aka the flurry punches, have been reduced from 19 to 10 damage. But in turn for that, they gave him really low percentage damage, which is 1.7 for each of his punches, including during his ultimate. So keep in mind, before these changes, Iron Fist was a backline harasser, and he was really good at harassing the backline and dealing damage to the squishies and the supports back there. And with his high mobility, it made sense for him to be able to wall ride, triple jump to get to the backline. But now, since they basically halved his burst damage, he does basically nothing to squishies anymore. And he does a bit more damage to tanks. For comparison, let's use someone like Luna Snow, a 275 HP support. As I said, current Iron Fist has his 10 damage per hit, but let's add in the 15% seasonal bonus and the 1.7% for Luna Snow's max HP, which gives him 16 damage per hit. In his flurry, he hits 7 times per second, meaning we multiply this by 7 and get his DPS, 113 damage per second. Now remember that his old damage was 19 damage per hit, plus that 15% increase, 21.85 per hit, meaning his DPS output when we multiply that by 7 is 152.95. He used to do that damage across all targets, squishies, tanks, whatever. And what I hear some people say now, like, oh my god, Iron Fist is a tank buster. No, he is not. Using the same numbers, that 10 damage per hit, plus that 1.7 for max HP, and that 15% increase, we get Iron Fist dealing 24.25 damage to a 750 HP tank. So a less than 3 damage per hit increase and a 16 overall DPS increase is what makes Iron Fist a tank buster now. Keep in mind, he only does that to tanks now. He does way less damage to squishies. So you're telling me that of 37 characters in the roster, Iron Fist only does more damage to 9 of them. And the damage increase for the tanks isn't even that noticeable. And some people are going to be like, oh, he gets more overhealth from his self-heal. That overhealth will decay, and if Iron Fist uses it to actually heal himself, he will barely get any overhealth, and it will decay before he gets in the fight because it is 100 healing per second, and it lasts 3 seconds on a 300 HP target. So he can't use it in the open because it doesn't heal enough, and he can only use it in a safe spot when he's low HP. And it is barely enough to even get him to full HP now. Old Iron Fist had 250 HP, and his max overhealth from his heal was 50, meaning it was perfect to get him to max health and that little bit of overhealth. And you could say, well, what about his flurry? You know, his block. His block gives him the fast punches. His block gives him more overhealth, sure, but he's still dealing less damage. So he's going to have to stay in there longer. If they didn't increase the health he got from the block, he'd just be useless. Iron Fist is barely his own character now. He's not his own character now. He is a team-dependent character now. He used to be able to harass the backline consistently and get picks and kick out. Now he has to sit up front, punch, and pray to God he gets healed because he can't kill anything at the backline with his low DPS output, and he can't kill anything in the front line because he doesn't deal enough damage to properly tank shred because it just gets out-healed. Are you guys starting to see the issue now? It's because they put him at this weird in-between. They give him this percentage damage to make him more viable for hitting tanks, but he still has the mobility and all this movement for what? If he's just going to be sitting up front, what is the purpose of having this mobility? Because his original purpose was to dive the backline. But because people whine and complain, they changed him when he had no reason to be changed. For the first week of the game, Iron Fist absolutely dominated because people couldn't figure out what to do against him. But then a week later, people were like, wow, Iron Fist kind of sucks, and you could look at tier lists, whatever. After the first week, Iron Fist fell off immediately. Now Iron Fist has lost so much of the magic that made him fun and like enjoyable in the first place because he can't do what he was originally intended to. Now he's just a way worse version of Wolverine, dealing less than half the damage that Wolverine does to tanks. And it's so depressing that when you're playing Iron Fist, you have to put in 4 times the effort that someone else does just to have about half as much as the impact. Obviously, Wolverine can shred tanks. He kidnaps them from their team, they're out of LOS, they get no heals, they just die. Though now you can take someone like Hela. She does 70 damage per hit, and she does 2 shots per second, and this isn't including her headshot damage. Hela also has a 15% damage increase. So let's say she obviously has that increase and she's shooting the tank twice per second. So with that 70 damage and that 15% increase, she does 80.5 damage per hit. And if we multiply that by 2, since she shoots twice per second, if she just keeps shooting at the tank, she's consistently dealing 161 damage per second. But she can do this from a safe distance, and that's not even including headshots. This is consistent across basically all the characters. They can add more impact from a safer distance, while Iron Fist has to constantly be at risk of death because he has to be right in front of someone to deal that damage. And keep in mind, while they can add the same impact, Iron Fist only deals that type of damage to tanks. They are dealing that type of damage to everyone. And if not, they're dealing more damage. So they are 2-tapping people in the back line, while Iron Fist is sitting there punching and dealing no damage to them. There's really no reason to pick Iron Fist when you can play someone else, add way more value, and be safer whilst doing it. Which is why I say Iron Fist is currently an identity crisis of a character. The devs can't decide what to do to him. They can't decide if they want to make him a brawler or if they want to make him a flanker or diver or whatever. They're still at this weird in-between with him, so he does nothing to the supports or squishies, but he also does nothing to tanks. So in my opinion, they should make him the diver that he was originally meant to be. Let him dive the supports and let him dive the backline. Lower his HP back if you have to, but give him more damage in turn. Let him actually be noticeable. Let him actually have an impact on the game instead of just basically being there as like a bullet sponge. Because Iron Fist is in such a weird state right now. Even the entire Iron Fist community, in the subreddit, whatever, are all still deciding, wow, Iron Fist is bad. Or some are saying like he's okay. People within his own community can't really decide because they're all different ranks. But from basically all top Iron Fist perspective, Iron Fist sucks. And people will say, look at stats, he's this in Eternity, or he does this in top 500. That's because barely anyone plays the character. Only the one-tricks are playing that character, so of course he's going to have a higher win rate than someone who's being picked basically every other game. And another content creator that I actually have seen has the same opinion. He's also another top Iron Fist. His name's NuggnugTV on YouTube. He made a Reddit post about it, and he also has made 2 videos about it. Both these videos are really good and really informative, so I'm actually going to be linking them in the description of this one in case you haven't seen them yet, as well as a link to his YouTube channel. He has also hit top 500 recently with Iron Fist only, so yes, he's insanely good at Iron Fist. So if you guys want to take anyone's opinions about Iron Fist, take his. He is the highest ranked Iron Fist content creator above Ricey and I'm Win. So if anyone's opinion should be valid, it should be his. So I'm going to play a tiny bit of one of his videos of him talking about Iron Fist. And yes, I did get his permission in case you thought I didn't.
Godly savior. Bro, I know you. You know, you are what motivated me to go for top 500 on Iron Fist. I saw your post in Season 0 when I first started playing Iron Fist. And I'm like, fuck, someone did it. It's possible. And it's fucking insane, man. But yeah, of course, you can go ahead and use it.
So firstly, before I even play his clips, I'm just saying, I had no idea about that. I just made the post on Reddit. And hey, I'm glad he got the motivation to do it. Because I know a lot of people were discouraged during that time because they're like, wow, Iron Fist feels weak. But it was possible, so I just kind of made the post because people were like, oh my god, Iron Fist is F tier. So that was kind of the only reason I even made the post on Reddit in the first place. But yeah, that being said, that out of the way, I'm glad I gave you some motivation. Also, congrats on being rank 1 Iron Fist and hitting top 500.
If a Luna just pops her clap, her high healing thing, you can't really kill her through it. Now she has a self heal, which isn't even much, but it's enough to where you can't really kill her. You'll take so long to kill her, so long that she'll probably kill you first with her clap. That's how fucking bad. It's embarrassing. Every single DPS in the game can out DPS or clap, except for Iron Fist. It's actually embarrassing. He's no longer fun. Well, he's still okay. So I'm not gonna go that far. He's still fun, but he's nowhere near as fun as he was before. It killed a lot of the fun because 80% of every game you're just sitting on tanks. You jump on the tanks and you want to use the tanks to refresh your block. Then you block and then you push the tanks back. You only ever go on the healers or squishies when both teams are like really meshed together and you could see when it's isolated and you can jump to them. Only when your teams are really in tight and brawling, which is not 80% of the game. And so you're spending most of your game on the tanks and it's so boring. You just sit there hitting a target dummy. It's really boring. And like just think about what the playstyle was before. It was so satisfying landing those kills. That's what every Iron Fist player fell in love with Iron Fist for, is how satisfying getting a kill felt. And changing the flow of the fight. If you landed that kill on the Luna, you just changed the whole flow of the fight. Versus you're just being a tickle monster in the front line now. It's just sad. And it's just, he doesn't even need a complex fix. Like really, he just needs a simple fix that makes diving an option. Like, they just need a small buff to his damage on squishies. Because the funny thing is, he already didn't do any damage on squishies before. It was already very low. They just need to buff it again. Like, fine, you could keep the nerf on his basic left click, but at least buff, at least bring back, at least close to the previous value, his, I think it was called Sun Punches, his flurry attack. Because now your basic left click is more effective than your flurry punches on supports, which is stupid because you have to block to continue your attacking. You have to block to survive. It's just so sad how your flurry punches do like literally non-existent damage on supports. It's kind of embarrassingly low how they let that actually make it to live servers, but that's all I really think they need to do is just raise the damage on squishies of his.
So he actually was really in depth on it, and if you want to hear his full opinion because you don't feel like hearing mine, I'll have it linked like I just said, so you can have his opinion. And he has 2 of the videos like that, and they're both 9 minutes, so longer than this overall. And the last thing I'm going to be sending you guys off with is basically Iron Fist damage compared to basically some of the other characters in the game, just so you can get a reference as to how bad it is.
Not so fast! We're done here! That time has come.
So yeah, that is all. If you like the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'm also going to be leaving a link to my Discord server in case anyone is interested or just wants to talk to me directly. So with that being said, hope to see you guys next time.